Hey guys, this is What Am I Reading? Episode 3. So today is about your knee angle when you're doing single leg squatting exercises, specifically like lunges. So when I'm talking about the knee angle, I'm talking about when you're doing a lunge. If I'm facing you right now, if my knee is going outward or inward, so more externally rotated or more toward the midline of my body, basically, based on your sex. So whether you are a male or a female does that differentiate. And interesting enough, it seems that, yeah, it does. There's actually a cue in here, not a cue, but something that I would correct on some of the females that I coached, and it's not so much that it's wrong, it's more so just that it doesn't seem to activate the muscle that you would assume it does. I'm not always right, believe it or not. So I'm just going to read this little bit, and then I'll actually put something up on the screen, because right after I read this, I ran out onto the gym floor, asked a couple athletes if I could take their pictures to actually test it, and I'll be damned. There was one exception as well that I do want to give an explanation on, but anyway, I digress. So what this says, women also tend, so it's basically talking about because of the female skeleton, your hips, and then the ball and socket of your femur are different than a man's. I figure pretty much everybody knows that. We always talk about like women having wider hips and stuff like that. So what it says is women also tend to portray greater knee valgus, so that is inward movement of the knee, that's your knee coming toward the midline, than men in various landing and squatting movements due to anatomical and neuromuscular factors. Wider hips can make it appear, this is the important part, wider hips can make it appear that women are caving in more than men during single leg squatting movements, but sometimes this is just an illusion and the knee isn't actually caving inward. So the important term there is sometimes. If your toe is faced inward more toward the midline, then that's going to be one of those situations where your knee will likely follow the toe inward. So this isn't a law by any means, but it is something that was interesting enough for me to take a peek at. So I'm gonna go ahead and put those pictures up. So I did 3 guys and 3 women, and I did a little comparison of basically their knee and hip position. So I'll bring that up right now. Okay, so I'm gonna make this pretty quick. Basically, if you look at the top 3 people, you can see the blue line is used to show the knee and hip are in line with each other, and if you look at the bottom, you can see 2 people, and I'll explain the third one in a little bit, but 2 people where the orange line is used to show the knee and the green line is used to show the hip. So one of the things that was really interesting about this study is that even when they were forcing people to push the knee further out, making them have the knee and hip in line with each other, it didn't cause any more activation of the glutes. It didn't necessarily go into why, and I mean, more or less what it said is it's just, the hips are built how they are, and the muscles are leveraged as best as they can be in that position. But I found it interesting because of how often the cue is knees out, knees out, knees out whenever you're squatting or doing anything. And again, even I am guilty of this. But that third person on the bottom at the far right, if you look, you'll see that they've got a blue line. Their knee and hip are aligned. So, why this exception? Her and I actually talked about it, and more or less what we kind of came to was it's likely just because she's doing a lot more Olympic lifting, snatches and different kinds of exercises that are causing her to have to basically explode into a wider stance. in some cases, a split stance where that wider base is going to help her be more steady. So in this case, I think it's more so a pattern that was learned as opposed to something that was natural. But I guess that would be the one exception to this. There's exceptions to every rule, but yeah, I guess that's that, guys. If you got any questions, feel free to DM me. I will cite that study in the comments or in the bio or whatever. Later.